the letter again and slipped it carefully back into its envelope. I kept awake all night. By morning I knew what I had to do. I drove into Bridport, just a few miles away. I asked a boy walking his dog where Copper Beeches was. House number 12 turned out to be nothing but a burned out shelf. Underline the phrase burned out, which means destroyed by fire. The roof gaping. Gaping means the roof had some cracks over it. The windows boarded up. So the boarded up, again underline the phrase boarded up, means the windows were covered with wooden boards for security. I knocked at the house next door and asked if anyone knew the whereabouts. Whereabout means the knowledge, the information of Mrs. Macpherson, that what nowadays what she is doing, where is she, okay? So, whereabouts of Mrs. Macpherson. Oh yes, said the old man in his slippers. He knew her well. A lovely old lady, he told me. A bit muddle-headed. Underline the phrase muddle-headed means a person who is confused all the time. But at her age, she was entitled to be, wasn't she? 101 years old. She had been in the house when it caught fire. No one really knew how the fire had started, but it could well have been candles. She used candles rather than electricity because she always thought electricity was too expensive. The fireman had got her out just in time. She was in a nursing home now, he told me, Burlington House, on the Dorchester Road on the other side of the town. So after reading the letter, the author of the chapter, he decided that what he should not, after reading the letter, he knew that he should not have read in the first place, alright. He placed it back neatly in the envelope. He kept that letter neatly in the envelope again. Now, the narrator could not sleep that night, and the next morning, he knew exactly what he had to do. So, he drove to Bridport. Bridport, which was just a few miles away from his place of residence. He asked a little boy who was walking his dog for directions to the Copper Beeches. He went there looking for the address mentioned on the letter, but house number 12 was all burnt down. Its roof was all open and the windows were covered with boards for security. To inquire about the whereabouts of Mrs. Macpherson, he knocked at the house next door. The old man in the slippers knew the lady personally. The old man, who was a neighbor of Connie Macpherson, he told the author that he knew personally the old lady. He called her a lovely lady who always stayed a bit confused. Most of the time she stayed a bit confused. But what he did, he blamed it on her age because she was 101 years old. So due to her age, she was confused most of the time. And as her house caught fire, she was saved by fireman. The actual cause of the fire was not known, but people suspect it to be candles because she used a lot of candles as she thought electricity was too expensive because she was living a lonely life, and for her paying the bills, it was very tough for her. So she decided to use candles instead of electricity. So the reason of fire, people thought that the reason of fire would have been candles. Alright. The old man also told the narrator that nowadays she is living in a nursing home, and the name of that nursing home is Burlington House, which is on the Dorchester Road on the other side of the town. Alright? So, now let's move towards the next para. So, from the last para, we got to know that Connie Macpherson, by this time she has become 101 years old, and due to her age, due to her condition, she has become confused. She's being confused all the time. Alright? And after returning, after coming from her house, she started living in a nursing home. Alright? So in this para, the next para says, I found Burlington House nursing home easily enough. There were paper chains up in the hallway and a lighted Christmas tree stood in the corner with a lopsided angel on top. I said I was a friend come to visit Mrs. Macpherson to bring her a Christmas present. I could see through into the dining room where everyone was wearing a paper hat and singing. The matron had a hat on too. Matron, first underline the word lopsided, which means one side of it lower or smaller than the other side. Alright? So, an angel, from the term angel itself, we can understand the messenger of God. Alright? So, an angel was kept on the top of the tree, but that angel was little lopsided. It was not equal from both of its sides. One side was little down. Alright? And matron means a woman in charge of domestic and medical arrangements at an institution. So the matron of that hospital, she was happy when she saw the author. She even offered me a mince pie or mince pie. She offered me a mince pie. She walked me along the corridor. Mrs. Macpherson is not in with the others. She told me she is rather confused today. So we thought it best if she had a good rest. She has no family, you know, no one visits, so I'm sure she will be only too pleased to see you. She took me into a conservatory with wicker chairs and potted plants all around and left me. So, in this para, the narrator went to Burlington House nursing home, which he found quite easily. There were Christmas decorations all over. The hallway was decorated with paper chains. Paper chains are made of paper, a kind of chain thing to decorate the walls. Alright? All over, and at the end there was a Christmas tree. So in the corner a Christmas tree was kept with an unsymmetrical angle on the top. Means an angel was also kept on that top part of the Christmas tree, and due to its the corner side of that place, it was quite down from the other side of it. That was, the Christmas tree was seeming a little asymmetrical. It was not equal. It was not kept equally. Alright? Now, there the author asked for, he introduced himself as a friend of Connie Macpherson, who had come to give her a Christmas gift. He could see everyone at the dining hall. They were all, whoever were present there, they were all singing and wore paper hats. They were celebrating the Christmas. The matron means the lady in charge of that nursing home. She came and she has also wore such hat too. A paper hat she has also wore. Now she was very happy when she saw the narrator, and she offered him a piece of mince pie. It's a name of a sweet. All right. As she walks in through the corridor, then she took him to the corridor where the Mrs. Macpherson was. She also told him that Mrs. Macpherson does not get visitors often, as she has no family. According to her, Mrs. Macpherson will be very delighted when she will see him. She mentions him that she is not celebrating today as she was a bit confused, so they thought it would be better for her to rest. She took him to a conservatory where Mrs. Macpherson was, and that conservatory was filled with some chairs which were very weak, and some potted plants are also kept on that room. The old lady was sitting in a wheelchair, her hands folded in her lap. She had silver white hair pinned into a wispy bun. Wispy means hair, fine hair. She was gazing out at the garden. "Hello," I said. She turned and looked up at me vacantly. "Happy Christmas, Connie," I went on. "I found this, I think it's yours." As I was speaking, her eyes never left my face. I opened the tin box and gave it to her. That was the moment her eyes lit up with recognition and her face became suffused with a sudden glow of happiness. I explained about the desk, about how I had found it, but I don't think she was listening. For a while she said nothing but stroked the letter tenderly with her fingertips. So the meaning of the phrase "lit up" means became bright with excitement or happiness. Suffused with means spread all over her face. Wispy of hair. Tenderly means with gentleness, kindness and affection. So, inside the conservatory sat an old lady in a wheelchair with her hands folded in her lap. So when the author, he went inside that conservatory where the Connie Macpherson was, when he entered into that room, he found that Connie was sitting in a wheelchair with her hands folded on her laps. Her hands were one upon another and it was kept on her. She had kept her hands on her lap. Her white hair was tied in a neat bun. So her hair was tied neatly in a bun. As she sat there, she was staring at the garden. When he entered, she was staring, she was looking towards the garden. When he entered the room, he introduced himself. He wished her happy Christmas. At that time, she turned around him and now she started staring the author. When the author wished her happy Christmas and gave her the letter, she was constantly looking at his face. And when he was speaking to her with her, and when he handed her the tin box, her eyes became very radiant due to immense happiness because she has recognized the tin box. Now she was recalling all the moments, right? This time she was not confused. She was recalling moments one by one. She had become very happy. She had become very happy. When the author offered her the tin box, he explained the series of events that led him to the letter. So one by one he told her everything, that how he found the desk, how he found the secret drawer, how he found that tin box, how he found that letter. He explained her everything. Means he did not hide anything from her. He explained her everything. But he found that when he was telling her everything, at that time she did not pay any attention on the author's word. Because at that time she was constantly staring at the tin box. She was stroking her fingers on that letter. She was having the memories of her old times. She was recalling every moment. So that is why she did not pay any attention on the words of author. Alright? Suddenly, she reached out and took my hand. Her eyes were filled with tears. You told me you would come home by Christmas, dearest, she said. And here you are, the best Christmas present in the world. Come closer, Jim dear, sit down. I sat down beside her and she kissed my cheek. I read your letter so often, Jim, every day. I wanted to hear your voice in my head. It always made me feel you were with me. And now you are. Now you are back. You can read it to me yourself. Would you do that for me, Jim dear? I just want to hear your voice again. I would love that so much. And then perhaps we will have some tea. I have made you a nice Christmas cake, marzipan, all around. I know how much you love marzipan. So, as the author stood there silently, when he found that Connie is not paying any attention to him, she's just looking at the letter, she's touching the letter with her fingertips. So, the author was stood there silently. Then suddenly Connie moved and took his hands, took author's hands while her eyes were watery. She had tears in her eyes, but these tears are of happiness. She said that he had fulfilled his promise of being there by Christmas, as Jim had promised Connie that by the next Christmas he will be reunited with her once again. So Connie thought that Jim had kept her promise and he had come to her. Now, she even said that he is the best Christmas present in the world. Now she called this so-called reunion as her best Christmas present in the world. For her best Christmas present was to reuniting with her husband once again. She then asked the author to come near her and sit beside her. She called the author Jim. So she misunderstood the author as her husband Jim. She thought that Jim had kept his promise. He came on that very day, on the day of Christmas. Alright? He did as she said. So the author did the same as the Connie asked him to do so. He sat beside her and he sat down. He went near her and sat down while she kissed him on his cheek. She told him how she read his letter daily, considering the author to be Jim. She was considering the author as her husband Jim. That is why she is telling everything to the author, that she had read his letter daily, and it made her feel like she was with him. So when she used to read the letter of Jim, she always found herself to be with Jim. She longed to hear his voice, but then she mentioned now that he is here with her, he can read out the letter to her in his voice. As finally when she found her husband back, when she got her husband back, she requested the author, whom she was considering as her husband, to read the letter once again because she was longing for his voice. She wanted to hear his voice. That is why she asked the author to read the letter once again. So she will recall the moment once again and she will feel the presence of Jim. Alright? So she also said that if he will do that for her, she will be very happy because she had longed from long time to hear his voice. Now she suggested that when he will be finished with with this letter. He will finish the letter. She will prepare tea for him. They will have some tea with each other, and then she will offer his favorite Christmas cake with marzipan. She was well aware of how he loved marzipan. She was very happy, and she just wanted to celebrate the Christmas with Jim once again in the same way that they used to celebrate previously. So, moral of the story is that the story states itself that war brings only destruction and sadness in the world. Only the path of peace will lead us to the happiness and welfare of mankind. As we learned from the story that as Jim had promised Coney that he would return from the war and he will celebrate the next year Christmas with her, but that did not happen. He died in that same war, and from there we can understand that how a soldier and how their families long for each other. Alright, so from this story we can understand that war brings only destruction and nothing else. So for welfare of society, welfare of the mankind, we should choose the path of happiness and peace. So this was the story of this chapter. This was the moral of this chapter. Now we will meet again in the next class with a new topic. Till then, bye everyone.